Hey everybody, what's up? Cool. So back live. Let's see quickly if the connection is good because in the streaming setup, I just had a warning. Just had beep boop beep boop. Oh, daddy. A warning. Just had. I think you should hear me. If not, let me know in the chat. And we're going to start a little bit more earlier today. So let's see. I think I will do today around half-hour stream. So let's jump right into it. I just here did a little warm-up before beginning to sketch. So actually my last time sketching was last Friday in the last stream. So over the weekend did not find the time to sketch, so that's why I wanted to warm up a little bit, get back into sketching. And today's the plan again, repetition, starting with a simple box in perspective, animating it, and then again a little character. And maybe if we have the time, reacting here a little bit. I wanted to watch this video. Maybe let's see if we're going to watch every part of it, how Dragon Ball that was made in the animation process. So maybe we can learn a little bit from it. Super curious to see that. And yeah, I would say let's start into it. So we're going just for practice, for repetition, to feel again a little bit yeah, how it is to animate in perspective. We're starting a little animation in perspective. So I think also straight ahead. Let's see. Maybe with an angle we haven't explored the last time. Also sketching already. Couple of in-betweens and animating it more straight ahead. Cool. Cool. So maybe the box here will rotate a little bit. I'm just going here with the flow. Like that. And yeah, I hope every one of you had a good weekend. And of course, if you have any questions about everything or about animation, about drawing, let me know in the chat. And if I can, I try to answer it. Animation can be so much fun. Also still on my to-do list to try out traditional animation. So I can't wait to do that. So the box here is rotating in perspective. So, and now it's going to maybe still load up a little bit here. So still collecting energy. So like that. And now the box will start to move. Like that. And with that, we're already establishing a little bit movement straight ahead, having just a little bit of fun. It's, I think, a great method to warm up before getting into more complex animation. Straight ahead, just having fun with some basic principles of animation. Also, again, having the focus topic perspective in mind. Yeah. Whee! Cool. Maybe let's start this here. So adding a little squash and stretch. So, like that maybe. See how this looks? Yeah, having a little bounce effect there. Maybe even adding one in between here. Or not there. Between 10 and 11. So to make a little more smooth here. Nothing special. Maybe like that. Cool. Wee! Whoa! Cool. So, with that, I think... I mean, this was only a couple of minutes, and with that, we already established the first cool bounce animation. Cool. Cool. So, then I would say, let's get into another scene. And I'm not sure if we're going to... Let's maybe... Oh, maybe something like that. Where we would have maybe here. Think how we're going to design the scene. Maybe something like that. So I'm just brainstorming here a little bit about sketching in the scene where the character maybe is jumping downwards here, landing here, and then running in that direction, maybe something like that. I mean, let's try it out. So especially when going into perspective, it can help just to plan out the scene a little bit. Yeah, so the character would to some degree glide here, I think, to the front. Because if not, if the character would jump straight down, I think we wouldn't see it here on the scene. So maybe the so maybe let's just do something like this. I mean, it looks fun. Let's try it out. The horizon. See somewhere here. Horizon. Let's see. This is something that could work. And again, as I mentioned, the beauty of animation is really just trying things out. So let's create a new animation row on top of it. Let's see how we're going to do that. And again, as a reference, as a basic reference for a jump, I'm using the Animator Survival Kit. That always helps. So let's see. And maybe I even going to simplify the body even more than we did the last time. Let's see if I'm going to able to do that again, and then we can see if it was simplified too much, if we should construct a little bit better our lines. These kind important factors, say it that way. Now one arm goes here. So taking the time to establish first the basic key positions here, and of course it helps so much to have the reference with the on the layer below that. I drink here something, and I also made myself a little tea. I think it's too hot. I think I have to wait a little bit. It's okay. Okay, cool. So let's get back into the scene. So here we are right now. The first three steps, and I keep it super simple. So in the last stream, actually let me show it to you quickly. I took more time to actually construct the shapes. And right now I'm keeping it super simple, like you can see here. I took properly the time and construct the volumes, the shapes, and right now we're going with this even more simplified version in perspective with the basic figure, super simple. And of course this way it's faster, maybe a little bit less accurate from the perspective factor, but I think we can greatly practice the whole feeling of sketching and animating in perspective. And yeah, we can faster also explore different options in perspective. Hello Sabina Begum, yo, good to see you. Okay, so and yeah, if any one of you has a question, let me know in the chat. As you can see also in the title, how to animate in perspective part 6. So my creativity at this point has reached its limit. I think maybe in this week also I should maybe, well, let's see how many parts there will be, but definitely still the focus will be to sketch in perspective, to animate more in perspective, explore this. Yeah, and I mean at some point I think it's also just gets normal to animate in perspective because I mean the world, how we going to show on pen and paper, I mean the system behind it is perspective or using perspective rules. So yeah, okay, let's now again talking here and there. Let's get back into the animation. So the next position, let's see. Okay. Now the character will jump here. Like that. Cool. Sketching in the feet here. Wee. Ooh. So the first positions. I think this is also okay. Let's quickly. I mean, I think it's a little bit decrease the opacity here, so we just see it briefly below it. I think you can see it also a little bit. Okay, cool. So the first positions here. Now the next one. And maybe we're keeping it. Maybe now the body leaning more forward. Maybe like that. Okay, now I've sketched it the wrong layer. Quickly redo it here. course would help here to actually use some real reference. A person is jumping, or it looks like he's paragliding or something like that. Or have this kind of suit on. Now we have to try to find the correct perspective here. Like that. Makes this a little bit bigger. And move it more down. Maybe more here. This looks okay. And then we're doing the next one. So getting super fast here, even if it's in perspective, we're getting super fast through it just because we are simplifying the characters so much with just the basic shapes of the characters we're seeing here. But still, with that, we can figure out quickly the whole animation. Wee, wee! How the character's jumping down here. And now the character making himself super long while flying down here. Maybe you a little bit squash and stretch. Now down here like a rocket. And let's move this one even more down. Maybe like that, and then out of the scene. Cool. Maybe a little bit up. And of course we could add a couple of in-betweens here to improve the timing. But itself, I think the key drawings are looking good, and it's also a fun way to explore a couple of basics animation, and then we could of course improve the timing, improve the key poses in itself. But for the basic animation and for basic rhythm, or to plan also an animation, I think it's looking okay. And then of course it would be also cool to see some real, maybe extreme sport people who are doing these kind of jumps and seeing what are the fine things the body is doing in the air, how's the movement, for example, transition from a pose like that here to that to that. So is this realistic, or what are the special things there to consider when animating things like that? But yeah, in general, I think it's looking fun. Cool, so let's do another one. Another one. Another one. Okay, cool. So now I think let's do another basic movement. Maybe even straight ahead, I'm not sure. And also maybe just again with the basic figure. Let's see if we're getting through it. It's a basic figure, and where are the limitations of animating like that? Position him like that. And yeah, trying different options out here to go into perspective with a figure. And seeing what's working, what's not so good working. Maybe let's place the character here. And now doing it also straight ahead. So I use the reference, as I said, from the Animator Survival Kit for the basic animation. That helps a lot. So place the legs maybe here. Somewhere here. And the body is leaning forward. Like that. The hands come here. Like that. So we lose a little bit proportion here, so I think this figure here, I think the fastest way here is to make this one a little bit bigger. So we're actually a little bit more on track with the proportions and also making this head here a little bit bigger. That's always the thing. Maybe it's also just that it comes with practice and experience, but animating straight ahead, so not planning it out at the beginning, it's harder to keep the proportions right. On the other hand, it's just also fun, yeah, to go a little bit with the flow and see where you're landing with your animation. Cool. And of course, if you have a reference, it's also not completely straight ahead. So using some kind of reference. So now the foot here. The foot. Now jumping into the air, the legs. Like that. See how the body moves. See, maybe like that. It's funny that we're running out of space even. Okay, let me quickly take all these a little bit more below here, so we have a little bit more space for our animation. So and this also still feels a little bit too long. I mean, not too long, I mean you could do it in terms of squash and stretch, so elongating the body, but the whole dimension or the whole size seems a little bit off. So also maybe let's still make this one a little bit bigger. A little bit more consistent here, our proportions. Now it's too big. Maybe like that. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect for it's okay right now. So and now the character jumps here into the air. Do 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 do. Like that. See what the legs are doing. Maybe something like that. That's the first position that is not working for me. So let's do it again. Maybe we'll sketch a little bit more here. This one's a little bit a tricky one. Maybe like that. So we seem to, it's a some kind degree on the front. I mean, I'm not 100% happy with it. Maybe it has to go a little bit more up. Let's try it that way. Or are we going to try something super else? So let's see, maybe like that. The first sketching in the feet. Or work. Maybe more something like that. Yeah, maybe something like that is okay. And like that's the cool thing in animation. Super a lot trying out things and seeing step by step where you're landing, if the things are working you've planned or not. And yeah, try out new things, challenge yourself. This is okay. Wee! Woo! And now for the next one. Elongating the body here. And then making him land. Maybe something like that. And maybe a little bit more to the front. Cool. Cool. Yeah, and if you have any question, let me know. So this it's super fun to try this different method out where we really going more with the flow with the lines. So also having here this curved lines a little bit, and yeah, not being so more constructive like we did the last week where we really sketched out properly the boxes and sketched out properly the figures in perspective. Right now a little bit more dynamic with the animation, still being in perspective, but just a little bit different approach. Yeah, and I would also sometimes say the approach to with the boxes where you properly sketched out your perspective or your box or your character sketch it out properly in perspective with the hips, with the legs, and sometimes also this dynamic flow where you really have a simplified body like that. Depends, I would say, also on which state and which stage of your animation you are, what you're planning, how the scene looks like, and which approach is the best, or sometimes also just use 3D below it, or as a reference. It could be also an approach. Okay. Hello, Cosmo Kappas. That's amazing. Thank you so much, and cool that you're joining the stream. Cool. So quickly indicates that this one here is behind the body. Wee. So, and now is here behind the body. Like that. Wee. Cool. And yeah, flip back and forth in your animation to always double check, does this working? Where could you fix something? Cool. So now let's sketch this character similar to this position almost, where the character lands here. Where the character is landing. Maybe like that. And for these positions, I like to start with the feet because I know, okay, the feet stay here at this position. So I know also where I put the rest of the body, and I can construct it from the bottom to the top. So it's a little bit more easy, especially when having not planned out this animation before. It's easier for me to say where each thing goes. And also I'm looking at this animation because it's similar to this position here, so I can to some kind degree use this again. First sketch his body here. This goes here. Maybe a little bit too much up, but it's okay. And this here is behind the body. Like this. Cool. So let's bring a little bit more here. Like this. And also sketch here the bottom. Cool. Cosmo Casper's writer, YouTube recommended me this live stream randomly. I don't know how YouTube servers are recommending us you in Pakistan. Okay, I also don't know that, but yeah, super cool. I'm happy about that. I hope you enjoy the stream. So yeah, maybe you have some kind of interest in animation drawing art, so that's why it could be related that YouTube is recommending you this. Yeah. Wee! Cool, fun animation, I would say. Cool. And of course, yes, enjoying it. Yes, you're right, Cosmo Casper. I think super cool to hear. Thank you for that. So yeah, again, the time is flying today. As I said, and again, I will keep it a little bit more short today. The next live stream again will be tomorrow, where we're going to continue animating figures like that, and also again maybe trying out a different approach. And for now, I wanted, before ending the stream, I wanted to watch into this video here. Let's see. Not sure if we're going to watch every a minute of it, but maybe let's quickly have a look into it. So it's called How Dragon Ball Z Was Made, the animation process. Maybe we can learn a little bit from it. This video was on my list to watch. So yeah, let's watch into it.
Is essentially a blueprint
of
an episode,
everything,
allowing the staff to pre-visualize the production. It's drawn on an A4 sheet of paper, which features 8 rows and 6 columns. In the top left, in this small box, is where the sheet number would be marked. The next 2 panels here, starting with the left, is where the scene number is placed, with the right being the cut number. Then moving on to the larger section on the page, this is where the rough drawings are placed, used to represent the scene the character is placed in.
And also let me quickly make my camera here a little bit smaller so you can see a little bit better.
As well as his or her actions, the emotions being expressed, general choreography to a scene, if there is any, and other key details like camera movement. Directors aren't always artists by trade, so the quality of these drawings can vary in detail depending on director. Time definitely plays.
To see these sketches, it's just so much fun. Yeah, like how the animation is planned.
A factor into that as well.
Also how rough it is, but it's still working and still important.
It also wasn't uncommon for a director to draw outside the box when perhaps wanting to indicate, for example, a panning shot. This typically would be drawn by, as mentioned, the director for the episode, although there are occurrences where this role would be split with a designated storyboard artist.
Like super simple lines, quick line sketch in with some notes. And yeah, it's enough to plan out the scene.
Handling this part of the production.
Cool. Okay, and again, we have some advertising here. I think maybe at some point I should buy myself a YouTube Premium. Maybe that would be not a bad idea. So yeah, I don't have to annoy you to additional ads here. Okay, let's get back. Sorry for that.
Episode 86 and 122. There was even an occurrence where oddly the animation supervisor for an episode, Katsumi Aoshima, handled the storyboard as well as the bulk of the key animation, an incredible feat. This split in roles could be an indicator of lack of time for an episode's production, and is why in Dragon Ball Super, it wasn't uncommon at times to have this role filled by 2 separate staff members due to the multiple production issues. In the next panel, when translated, reads contents. This section to the left will include a detailed description of each cut, from the action that is happening to all the various cinematic effects to be added, such as FOFI, meaning fade in, fade out, wave glass, indicating for a distortion filter to be applied.
That's also cool. So how certain effects. Cosmo Casma, you should buy it, bro. Okay. Thank you for that comment. I will consider it. Thank you. I think, yeah, at some point I will do it.
Typically for either heat or water effects.
Also, when I don't know who watched from you Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, like all these special effects that were added, and also to see what was 2D animated, what was added later. It's super interesting to see.
Lens blur, used to draw focus to a particular event or character. Camera shake, quite self-explanatory, used to often give drama to a scene. Fisheye lens or wide angle lens, used to give a visually distorted look. Background replacement, a transition between backgrounds within the same cut, and many other various techniques. The right hand side is reserved for a character's dialogue. The next section, labeled time, here the director will indicate the length of each cut. A stopwatch was common.
So when someone here transformed into Super Saiyan, I think they had to write down the super high
each one,
number.
as seen here in this picture of
6 days.
Mitsu Hashimoto. The person in charge of the storyboard will write the time on the left, then have a plus symbol with the extra amount of frames to be used on the right. Moving on to the final 2 panels would be where a specific musical score or sound effect was to be used. These panels were typically not overly detailed with notes. The director or storyboard artist on average would take up to about 2 months to complete this process, which was essential before any animation began. Delays and
also cool that this was one of the first steps of the whole production animation process.
Storyboard can cause a variety of problems for a production. For example, with episode 64, due to production and planning issues, the storyboard was delayed and finished late as a result. The animation supervisor, Masaki Sato, also animating many cuts in the episode, recounts this being a very difficult episode for him. After this, the storyboard is then packaged in a folder and sent off to the animation staff belonging to the respective studio contracted to handle the animation for that episode. Although this exact process is no longer in effect now, Toei Animation would subcontract
like how many steps they would have to take, and as a kid we were just watching the final episodes and not thinking about one of these steps.
Many different studios to produce the animation for their episodes, with them rotating between each one. This structure was in play throughout many Toei shows in the 80s, such as with Dr. Slump, and continued to carry over into the 90s, like with Yu-Gi-Oh!, with some of the same studios that worked on Z having worked on those shows as well, meaning that Toei Animation's own in-house animators would handle quite little in comparison. The regular studios you could see working over the entire course of Z were Studio Live, producing animation for 53 episodes, Studio Last House with 71, the highest out of any on the show, then Studio Seigasha with 42, and Shindo Productions with 41. There were also others like Studio Junyo, Katsumi Aoshima. No specified studio credit is given to his episodes, then Studio Cockpit, Doga Kobo,
like how many different studios, also crazy.
Studio Carpenter, and finally Kino Productions. But with that out of the way, we now move on to the layout stage. Now, after the key animator has looked over the cuts in the storyboard they've been assigned, noted by the director, they will create what is called a layout. On the top left of the sheet, stamped out, will be the name of the show and the episode number, with then a hand-drawn notation of the number again and the cut number here by the animator. Within this area, the animator would draw all the details that are to appear in the cut, from the placement of the character or characters to the background art, naturally with that also dictating the depth and perspective. The drawings themselves would often be more loose and sketchy, in contrast to the final drawings for the animation, with sometimes just line work alone. Also, if pressed for time, the animator could result to just indicating a rough silhouette of a character, or even scribbles rather than anything defined. Then on the bottom...
That's also interesting, that from a time perspective, it's okay also when we could also take as for future project, that it's okay for the planning phase, for figuring everything out. It's okay to be rough. And the lines doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if it's loose. And then when getting close and close, when we decide, okay, these are the shots we want to use, then we can finalize more the lines. But in the beginning, it's okay to be loose.
Area is where the animator would add notes for the scene. In this case here, the animator, Masahiro Shimanuki, has written a notation that says Zensuru. This means that the cell takes up the entire screen, indicating to the background artist, which this will later be sent off to, that they don't need to paint a background. Once this is complete, it will be packed into a folder and would be sent back to the director. This is referred to as the Enshutu check. Here, he will offer more so directional instructions rather than any regarding the general draftsmanship of the drawings themselves.
That's also cool to see that feedback pipeline of the whole animation process.
Corrections, if made, would be noted on a transparent pink sheet of paper. However, with Z, the directors seem to have left a lot of the animators' work unchanged, possibly due to the tight scheduling that comes with a weekly show. There is then the Sakan check, done by the animation director, also referred to as the animation supervisor, although I'll stick to the latter to avoid any confusion amongst the various directorial positions. Now, it isn't uncommon in the modern animation industry for there to be an action supervisor, effects supervisor, mecha supervisor, general supervisor, and even a standard supervisor. Although in
Like how many supervisors? But yeah, everyone is in mastered his own special field and has his expertise in his field, and then can give feedback accordingly to the subject, and not like one guy giving feedback to everything. Or yeah, it depends also, I think, on the scale of the whole team, of the studio, and of the budget, and maybe also of the timeline, like how much time do they have for one episode.
These various checks were usually handled by a single supervisor. This check here is to ensure the art is in line with the character sheets, but also to review it for its general quality, making any additions or fixes if necessary. To complete this check, the supervisor will use a transparent piece of yellow paper, placing that over the original drawing by the key animator. Once approved, they are sent off to another studio that specializes in background art, which produces all the background scene in an episode. Then we get to the key animation stage. This is where the scene begins.
This also looks so cool. Like this, yeah, these key animations. And also it's interesting that the backgrounds and also the characters in the front are treated a little bit differently and also separate.
Come to life. Animation.
But alone, these scenes here look so cool. Like how much dynamic you have in it, with all these punches. And also, like, yeah, maybe even in this couple of scenes is so much to learn. Also, these smears here, these fast motion lines look super cool. And it's also cool that you can, even if it's like these key drawings here, that you still can follow the animation and understand what's happening. Super cool. Now here the camera switching. So yeah, like we're talking about how to animate in perspective. Like here we have a different perspective from the bottom, and also like the smear effect here, where we see the character at 3 positions at the same time. And also these like lines that emulate some kind motion blur. And it's like the whole dynamic and speed of the scene.
Come to life.
Super
Animation
cool.
From its very inception was a technique to create the illusion of movement through multiple drawings, and it's up to the animator to decide on how best to illustrate that, giving a variety of approaches and with that personality to a particular cut. Now, after the key animator's drawings have been sent back along with the correction sheets if any were needed, they'll retrace or redraw the art going off the corrections as reference, as well as now creating the key animation for the required amount of cuts.
That's also cool, like here this drawing now getting super more detailed with the drawing and also indicating like where the shadows are.
The animator will have multiple sheets attached to what is referred to as a tap or peg bar, with their index finger in the middle of the page, the thumb on the sheet under, then with the middle finger on top.
Here's like what traditional animators used to do, like flipping back and forth, what I mentioned, how it helps when animating to flip back and forth in your animation. Like with traditional animation, this was standard because, yeah, they had to flip back and forth to see are they on the right path with the animation.
Quickly and regularly flick through the pages to check the sequence, which is usually placed over a built-in light box, illuminating the sheets and thus allowing it placed on layer A in between anime, while also having the hair and clothes to move separate on another, B depend on the length of the pan. Now, to illustrate these characters, the animators would use a variety of references. However, one common at the time was the source material itself, the Dragon Ball manga. It also wasn't uncommon at the time for many of the keyframers to cut out panels from Shonen Jump in an effort to match the latest style. Meanwhile, the animator will also be working with a timing sheet, with the show title and episode
That's also
number
at some point here, maybe also do it here on stream to work with the timing sheet to explain it, and maybe plan out some animations in the timing sheet and see how to use a timing sheet and learn a little bit with it.
Now, in saying all that, he didn't know how to draw flames at the time, so a fellow animator from the process on paper these cuts for both the quality of the art.
Skip me through it here. Also cool to see these these key drawings here from a show I loved as a kid and still love it.
this position, and then a new studio would begin working on the show to make
Super
it any
cool.
less important, as they will also draw departments such as the finishing department, who will trace the line work onto what.
Super cool. Great. So great video if you want to check out the channel, Forgotten Relics. Maybe we'll watch again a video from him. So for today, I will end the stream. Super fun stream. We sketch a little fun character dynamic here, jumping. Wee! I think it's working good, this method also. Yeah, to be a little bit more loose here. Also, this one is fun, I think. Jumping down here. Then in comparison, then we started here with the little box. I think that's always great to start just with the box animating, going into perspective. And yeah, as I said, the approach is a little bit different to last week, where we properly sketched out each box in perspective. And yeah, fun stream. We learned a little bit again about this little dynamic figure, how to differently pose a character in perspective. And yeah, can't wait for the next stream tomorrow. Super fun. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, for writing in the chat, participating, and yeah, happy to see you in one of the next streams. So next stream tomorrow, again 20:30 Central Europe time. And if you missed something, I also will upload the highlights on my socials, for example Instagram, if you want to follow me there. And yeah, I'm a little bit behind in uploading the highlights, sorry for that, but they all will follow. Cool. Thanks so much for watching again. I already said it, so I think we will end the stream now. Thanks. Bye.